These are the 8 times NBA players were caught cheating. First, we begin with Baron Davis cheating at the 2001 dunk contest. This one's a doozy. So Davis had been tearing it up throughout the contest, dazzling the crowd with his insane dunks. He was on fire, but little did they know, he had a secret up his sleeve, or should I say, up his headband. He was so confident in this move that he boasted to Craig Sager, "I bet you'll be surprised." So for his final dunk, he decides to take it to a whole new level of daring. Davis had this brilliant plan to blindfold himself using his trusty headband. But wait, here's the twist. He had slyly cut holes in the headband, trying to pull a fast one on everyone. As the camera zoomed in, it sure looked like Davis had crafted those holes to peek through. Sneaky, right? If his intention was to see through those minuscule holes, he might need a pair of binoculars next time, because when it came time to perform the dunk, everything went hilariously wrong. He missed that dunk by a country mile, or should we say, by a hole in his headband. And guess what? The judges, probably trying hard to stifle their laughter, ruled it as a legit dunk attempt. Sadly for Davis, he had already used up his replacement dunk earlier, so there was no chance for redemption. The next cheating incident would make even the craftiest con artist raise an eyebrow. During a regular season game in 2010 between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Houston Rockets, little did we know that amid the sweat and squeaking sneakers, a hilarious and daring plot was about to unfold. The Bucks were trailing by 9 points in the late third quarter. Andrew Bogut drew a foul and was awarded a trip to the free throw line. Now, here's where the shenanigans began. You see, Bogut wasn't exactly the Michael Jordan of free throws. In fact, his shooting percentage resembled more of a mischievous squirrel trying to hit a bullseye with a water balloon. I mean, talk about accuracy issues. So the Bucks hatched a plan that would make even the trickiest magicians proud. During the lull of the dead ball, with players milling about and the crowd momentarily distracted, Brandon Jennings seized his moment. He slipped past everyone and took his position at the free throw line. Meanwhile, Bogut, like a sly fox, sneaked off to the rebounding zone, ready to pounce on any missed shots. The Rockets weren't about to let this trickery slide. They started protesting, pointing fingers and shouting, "Hey, that's not Bogut!" Having realized they had been bamboozled, the referees huddled together to quickly unravel the truth and wiped away Jennings' point from the scoreboard and sent Bogut to the line. This trick by the Bucks angered a lot of NBA fans, but this next cheating incident has led to mockery rather than anger. During a 2016 game between Houston Rockets and the Atlanta Hawks, Dwight Howard found himself in a sticky situation, quite literally. Paul Millsap of the Atlanta Hawks got a hold of the ball, and lo and behold, it felt stickier than a fly trap. And naturally, Millsap did what any self-respecting player would do. He showed the referee the doctored basketball, shining a spotlight on Howard's little secret. Howard was the last player to handle the ball, and he had sprayed his hands with stickum. Stickum is a substance that is meant to improve grip. Now, in a sport like the NFL, it might give a wide receiver an advantage in catching those lightning-fast throws. But in basketball? Well, it's a bit like trying to stick a square peg in a round hole. Now, you'd think Howard might have played it cool, owned up to his mischievous ways, and perhaps apologized for his sticky fingers. But no. Our dear Dwight decided to take a different route. He boldly defended his actions, claiming he had been using stickum for a whopping 5 years, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. The NBA, in all its wisdom, or perhaps bewilderment, chose not to rain down punishment upon Howard. Maybe they couldn't quite wrap their heads around how a substance predominantly associated with the NFL could possibly give a basketball player an edge. Howard might not have been punished, but the next cheating incident cost an NBA player a whopping $50,000. In a game between the Knicks and the Mavericks on January 5th, 2014, Smith pulled off a sneaky move that left Shawn Marion with an untied shoelace. boundaries. It went unnoticed by Marion, but not by the sharp-eyed fans watching from home. The NBA didn't take Smith's shenanigans lightly and issued a warning against such unsportsmanlike conduct. Now, you'd think Smith would have learned his lesson, right? Well, not quite. Just 2 days later, in a game against the Detroit Pistons, he couldn't resist the urge to play his little prank again. This time, his target was Pistons forward Greg Monroe, but alas, Monroe was no fool. He saw Smith's sneaky maneuver coming and skillfully evaded the untied shoelace trap. Understandably, enough was enough for the NBA. They had seen Smith's antics one too many times, and they were not amused. So they decided to hit him where it hurt: the wallet. A hefty fine of $50,000 was handed down to Smith, delivering a clear message that his cheeky behavior had crossed the line. In a rare moment of honesty, Smith admitted that he would have continued his tricks if it weren't for those pesky fines. This guy certainly knows how to push the boundaries. The next cheating incident was so crazy that it caused the NBA to change its rules. But before we talk about that, if you're enjoying this video, feel free to give a friendly tap on that like and subscribe button. You would be our MVP. Let's move on. It was the year 2008, and the Trailblazers were facing off against the Celtics. The clock was winding down in the first half with just 10.1 seconds left on the ticker. The Trailblazers pulled off a jaw-dropping dunk by Travis Outlaw, courtesy of a well-timed pass from Greg Oden. The crowd erupted, and the scoreboard reflected the points. Sounds like a thrilling moment, right? Well, here's the twist. The Trailblazers had cheated their way to that dunk. You see, as the dust settled, it became apparent that they had not 5, but 6 players on the court. Yes, you heard it right. 6 players instead of the regulation 5. The Celtics were furious, waving their arms in protest. The referees were caught in a tricky situation because, according to the rulebook, they couldn't overturn the points. All they could do was give the Trailblazers a technical foul as a slap on the wrist. Can you imagine the frustration of the Celtics? They were witnessing the opposing team blatantly cheat their way to a score, and yet they couldn't do anything about it. This scandalous incident sent shockwaves through the NBA and made league officials rethink their rules. As a result, a new rule was introduced. The non-offending team now had a choice. They could accept the play's result and shoot a technical foul, or they could decline the outcome and have a do-over. Let's talk about when an NBA player tried to cheat the system. Deandre Ayton found himself tangled up in a bit of a pickle, and it involved accusations of using PEDs. Yep, the big guy got caught up in some performance-enhancing drama. So here's the deal. Ayton tested positive for a diuretic. Now, before you start scratching your head and wondering why a diuretic is such a big deal, let me break it down for you. This sneaky little substance is known for increasing urine production. Sounds like a party trick for your bladder, right? Well, it's not all fun and games when it comes to professional sports. You see, diuretics have a pesky habit of tampering with drug test results. By boosting urine retention levels, they can mask the presence of other banned substances, turning drug testing into a wild goose chase. It's like trying to find Waldo in a sea of urine samples. Not exactly the kind of game the NBA wants to play. And you can probably see why. As a result of his positive test, Ayton faced a 25-game suspension. It was a clear message from the league that they take any violation of their anti-doping policy seriously. No shortcuts allowed, folks. When it comes to leading the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler wasn't just a basketball star, he was a master of theatrics. In the 2020 NBA Finals, he showed his teammates and fans that he was willing to go to great lengths to bring his team to victory. And by great lengths, I mean selling a foul like a Hollywood actor auditioning for an Oscar. During the game, Butler was fouled by Julius Randle. But instead of simply taking the hit and moving on, Butler decided to put on a little show. He clutched his eye, writhed in pain, and made it seem like he had just been hit by a meteorite. While pretending to be injured, Butler couldn't resist the temptation to sneak a peek at the referees. It was like he was playing a game of "Did I fool you?" with the officials. Unfortunately for Butler, his Academy Award-worthy performance didn't earn him a flagrant foul call. But that didn't stop the Heat from coming out on top with a 98-96 victory. After the game, Butler didn't shy away from admitting his inspiration for the theatrics. He gave a shout-out to his buddy Mark Wahlberg, the king of action movies and on-screen drama. It seems like Butler took a page out of Wahlberg's playbook and brought a little Hollywood magic to the basketball court. Another trickster was Vince Carter, the legendary half-man, half-amazing. At 36 years old, Carter pulled off a move that left everyone scratching their heads and the defenders in awe. It all started with a missed fadeaway shot by Carter. As the Mavericks secured the offensive rebound, Carter seized the opportunity to create some magic. With a mischievous glint in his eye, he pretended to twist his ankle, fooling everyone into thinking he was out of the play. Harrison Barnes, caught off guard by the apparent injury, relaxed on defense, giving Carter the space he needed. As Darren Collison dribbled for the final possession of the half, Carter suddenly sprang into action. Like a wily fox, he cut to the open baseline with lightning speed, leaving the defense in his dust. And just like that, Carter soared through the air with his signature finesse, throwing down a thunderous two-handed jam that left fans in awe. The NBA isn't only about players trying to bend the rules and cheat the system. There are jaw-dropping moments of pure brilliance that leave us in awe. From gravity-defying dunks to mind-bending dribbling displays and incredible buzzer beaters, there are unforgettable NBA moments. So, what are you waiting for? Click on this video now to see those moments.